How are we all doing? Awesome. Good. My name is Chuck White, and I lead marketing here at DAS Companies. So first of all, thank you again for taking time out of your business to be with us, and for your partnership. Real pleased this morning to introduce for you Quintin Frey from Turkey Hill Dairies. Quintin's going to talk through convenience store trends. Quintin is the longtime and recently past president of Turkey Hill Dairies. So premium ice cream and dairy as well as teas, now sold in 49 states across the country and around the world. Turkey Hill Dairies is part of Kroger. So Kroger has a family of grocery stores and convenience stores and some other specialty stores, as well as some proprietary brand products like Turkey Hill. So Quintin's going to give you some facts and insights and his experiences through the years. So Quintin Frey.
Yep. It's good to be with you all today, and I hope you're enjoying the show, and lots of good stuff down there to see. I personally, in the last 2 hours, actually not even 2 hours yet, I've been by the original Bill's Jerky 4 times. So I'll probably make it there a few more times before I leave. I have spent a lifetime in the family business, which was Turkey Hill, started by my grandfather. And of course, in 1967, we started the convenience stores as an extension of our dairy business. And I served as president of our dairy business for 22 years, and as such worked close with both our Turkey Hill stores as well as the other Kroger convenience store divisions, Tom Thumb, Quick Stop, Quick Shop, and Loaf and Jug. And I want to bring you sort of an update on the convenience store business, and from a perspective of being a supplier, but also working for one of the largest retailers in the world, being Kroger Company. And as you see my presentation, I'll try and put together for you some of the things that are in the Kroger Turkey Hill world, how they're bridging from supermarkets to C-stores, and how they're making those two formats work together for you. So with that, we'll just dive right in. I want to cover sort of some of the market financial metrics, product category trends, store trends and size and numbers, consumer demographics, look at some of younger consumers, some of their behaviors, and the older consumers, and then the general market situation. First of all, the convenience store industry continues to grow. You see there represented in blue is fuel, red the in-store sales. Sales growth slowed to 2.7% increase in the past year from 18.5% in 2011, so rapid growth, fueled partly by fuel increases in cost. Motor fuels themselves grew 102% over 10 years, and inside sales by 72%. So they're, the C-store is definitely trying to drive both the outside and the inside piece of their business. Store sales per store, motor fuel sales growth primarily reflects, as I said, the change in the price of oil. Inside growth reflects improved conversion or tonnage, poundage. The convenience store average industry profit being 1.1%, ranging from 0.6 to 1.5. Directionally, the largest companies are the most profitable. We'll talk a little more about some of the things driving the profitability between the two sides, and it's sort of the very biggest and the very smallest are growing. You see fuel sales growth primarily correlating again to the rising cost of fuel by the barrel. The tonnage or gallonage of gas being held down by a slow economy, also by alternative fuels, electric cars, and so on. But they sell 80% of motor fuels across the country, which is a huge percent. Catch up with some slides here. Again, looking at in-store and the fuel. Inside sales only represent about 30% of the sales in the business, but 70% of the gross margin. So completely flip-flop. That inside sales, well, it's the small part of the business, definitely contributing a lot of gross margin. Outside sales do not contribute the same kind of margin. I think only about a 5% gross margin on fuel. Drilling into the categories in the store, merchandise, food, beverage, and tobacco, and we'll take a closer look at a couple of these categories as we move on. But a broad brush, you see tobacco, 40% of sales. So it's still a large part of the C-store business, even with many people quitting smoking. That's still a big part of their business, 16% gross margin. Beverages are still helping to drive inside sales and strong margins. Food service, dramatic increase. Every convenience store that I know of is looking for a food service solution. A few have found them. Sheetz and Wawa are outstanding examples of good food service operations. They're achieving a pretty large gross margin, which makes it attractive, but I know that they struggle with, shrink and stales, which is pulling that margin down. So some people, in spite of the large gross margin, are still struggling for profitability in their food service category. Tobacco, branded discount, smokeless tobacco are growing at the expense of the subgeneric and fourth-tier subcategory. Smokeless, because of all the restrictions on smoking, continues to be a growing area. And looking at beverage, we got milk hanging in there, a little bit of decline. Per capita average milk consumption has been in a long-term decline across the United States, and it's no different in the C-stores. With Turkey Hill Minute Markets and some other convenience stores around the country, there's a large emphasis on dairy. Many convenience store chains started as dairies. So it became, back in the 60s and 70s, it was very popular for dairies to open their own stores, just like we did. And the Rudders locally, the Wawa, the Turkey Hill were all dairies first, and then into the convenience stores. So there's an intertwining of these two businesses. Frozen dispensed continues to grow. Your slush products continue to grow. Cold dispensed beverages are growing. We'll take a little look at some of the things driving that later. Hot dispensed holding its own, and as we said, packaged beverage continues to grow, delivered 50% of the total category sales growth.
Mr. Frey, what is a packaged beverage? Just
packaged beverage would be anything from a carbonated soda to an alternative. Could include energy drinks as well, but your teas, water, and sodas. Here is an evolving area of the convenience stores that a lot of people are looking at. This is a picture of a Quick Trip. They have 12 flavors of a brewed iced tea. So now this unlike your brewed coffees, which you might have 12 flavors of coffee in a store, you've got the 12 flavors of tea, but primarily this is being sold over ice as a cold beverage. Out of Racetrack, here again, there's 6 flavors, double canisters of each, showing a strong emphasis on brewed tea. Have you seen these in the stores? Okay, a few heads nodding. Of course, Turkey Hill, we're also in the brewed business, and you can do a real brewed product or you can do a from concentrate. We're doing a real brewed product. Definitely makes a better product. Another item new from Turkey Hill that's out there is the iced coffee. This is an emerging category, a growth area in the stores. Of course, Starbucks has made it famous, but you see McDonald's offering, Dunkin' Donuts offering iced coffees. How many in this group drink iced coffee? Just
me.
maybe 10%? 10%? How many have tried it and said that's not for me?
I might.
You got a bad one.
Think about it.
Some people don't care for it. When I first tried it, I didn't really care for it, and that was 5 years ago or longer. I've now acquired a taste for it, and I really enjoy an iced coffee in the summer. When I want that caffeine kick, but I don't want to sit, I don't have time to sit and sip a hot coffee, and it might be uncomfortable depending on the temperature. You know, emerging beverages, one of the areas that's been hot over the last 20 years has been iced tea and refrigerated teas, and Turkey Hill's been at the heart of that, and new product line for the health, really health conscious, is the organic. This is one of the few organic teas that is USDA certified organic. Down in the food, drilling down into food a little bit, you can see that ice cream and novelties were added to this breakout for the last 2 years. They weren't available separately prior to that. So it bumps the charts up, but it's a substantial piece of the business. In many convenience stores, that is the consume, you know, the novelty or the pint of ice cream that's being consumed on the road. In a few stores, Turkey Hill being an example, a classic example, there's a large take-home trade, both in the tea category and in the ice cream category. So we're selling gallons of tea, and we're selling the 48-ounce take-home size. And that's the bigger part of our business.
Is everything prepackaged, or some stores that get empty half-gallon containers, they can go fill it themselves? Do you know that?
In our stores, it's all prepackaged. You'll see a picture here of an example where they're actually doing cones in a UDF, Dairy Farmers store in Ohio. We did put ice cream years ago. One thing that remains true about convenience stores is it's got to be convenient. And I was guilty myself. I'd drive by a store, I'd see the Little League team on the porch, and I knew I didn't want to go in there because they were all in line getting dipped ice cream, and I couldn't get in and out. So if you're going to do it, you have to have a separate.
I was referring to tea.
Oh, tea.
Beverage.
And ask your question again to me.
I've seen them, even Arby's has had programs where they make their tea and they fill their own containers and sell it, half-gallon containers.
Okay. Well, we're doing two things in our store. We're putting a prepackaged product there, coming out of the dairy prepackaged, and that will be gallon, half-gallon, 18.5 ounce, 16 ounce. But we are also brewing tea in the store from tea leaves. And then that product, you put in your soda fountain cup, and they can put ice, put it over ice and go. So that's really for an over the ice, somebody that wants ice with their product.
What we see is there's a lot of construction teams, crews come in and out different times of the day, and they're taking back to a site. So those half gallons and gallons of things that they're grabbing, and I've seen a few companies that are just giving the container and giving you the option to fill it.
Yeah, we're not doing that. It's already pre-filled, but we are seeing people taking the gallons to the construction
Yeah.
site. Yeah, absolutely. That, for some tea drinkers, that's a single serve. Okay. Commissary prepared foods, definitely a growing area. You know, it's attractive because of margins. There's a big trade out there, but there's, you know, food on the go. But of course, there's intense competition from fast food, fast burger joints. It's a tough category to compete in, and you got to do it well if you're going to do it. But it is driving sales growth in the stores. And then your packaged sweet snacks and alternative snacks also continue to grow. As I was looking at this, and I was looking at ice cream growing, and your candy and your sweet snacks all growing, the sweet tooth of Americans is alive and well. We talk about eating well, and some of us are probably doing pretty good at that, but there are many of us who are indulging our sweet tooth. And in moderation, it's a reward for having eaten well all along during the week, but they still find an occasion where ice cream is the only thing, or a little candy bar is the only thing that's going to satisfy them. This is emerging in convenience stores. This is a picture of a Sheetz store putting ice cream creameries in the shop. I misunderstood your question earlier about ice cream. This is a case where you can get soft serve ice cream. You can add your mix-ins that you see there in the foreground. You can get some swirls to put on it. In a traditional supermarket or traditional C-store, this is a difficult thing to pull off. This probably is going to be for your larger store, maybe a place where there's some inside seating. Of course, Turkey Hill also makes soft serve and sells soft serve, and working on the same kinds of solutions, but we're really not using this in our stores yet. We do this in other customers, institutional food service business. Many of you from Philadelphia have been to the Phillies Stadium. Anybody here from Philly?
Oh, I just had a question. If you were to do that in your stores, how would you have it paid for? By the cup size or by weight, or?
It would probably be by the size of the cone or the cup. Yeah. This product we have available in Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia. So some of you, if you've been to that park, you'll see that all over the place down there. This is the picture of the UDF store and Dairy Farmers. Again, a dairy got into convenience stores. The backbone of their brand is ice cream. Same as Turkey Hill Minute Markets. You know, the brand reputation is ice cream, to which was bolted on tea, and so it's got that strong dairy background. And of course, answering the question, what's for dessert? Something that in your own locations might be something as you're serving a meal. Do you have a complete and full dessert offering for them? Something that's good and also perhaps fun. Looking down at some merchandise subcategories. General merchandise, electronics, novelties and gifts, and automotive products continue to gain some share. Convenience stores is probably not as big a category as it is in yours. Publications are also growing, but you're at a great show to find some good consumer electronics solutions for your stores. Publications declining. Really, there's been a move away from some of the types of magazines that are more risque. Kroger, convenience stores don't carry any of those kinds of products. And I think that's probably a good thing generally for our society. The other thing is there's a lot of publications now available on media in electronic format, so less in the published paper form. All right, looking at convenience store count, you see growth in both independent and corporate locations, but what you really see is growth in the large chains. So 500 stores or more are growing, and then you have the single stores. Often, these might be coming out of the large oil companies' locations being taken over by a single shop owner, but the two areas that are growing are the small single owner or the big corporate chain. And there's some economies of scale as we look at profitability. Those large chains where you're most profitable, they're taking advantage of economies of scale in the business. And the very small are avoiding some of the overhead costs altogether. And the chains that appear to be getting a squeeze a little bit are the mid-sized chains, who are not large enough to make get those economies of scale, yet they're still having to have the corporate overhead, food safety, and all of the other things that go with running the business. 36% of all retail stores are convenience stores. That's an amazing number. 36% of all retail stores. A lot of convenience stores, about 150,000 convenience stores nationally. Square footage, getting larger generally, but take note of the red square, which is your new rural store, getting up close to that 6,000 square foot size. We'll talk about this a little more later, but they're really in those rural settings targeting an intermediary shop. You're not ready to go back to the supermarket yet for your weekly grocery shop, but you need a few things, and you're going to stop in to this convenience store and do a mini grocery shop or a fill-in shop. And I think that's what's driving the larger stores in general, and particularly in a rural setting where you might not be driving by the supermarket on the way to work or the way to drop the kids off at school, and it has to be an extra trip for you.
Is that about the size of a CVS?
It depends on probably whether it's the new ones or not, but CVS's might be a little larger than new ones. I can't say exactly. Don't trust me as an expert on that, is a different question. Looking at your customers in a C-store, generally, younger are going to be in a C-store more frequently. I think this is probably intuitive to most of you, but you have 14% of your millennials are daily in a convenience store. Only about 10% of your baby boomers, males, 55 plus. For females, that gap is 4% in the males, but for females, the gap is 10% for the younger, 4% for the older. So there's a larger gap relative to females, but the younger female is more open to trying convenience stores than traditionally has been. And convenience stores are working hard to attract the female consumer. And the younger females are definitely more inclined to accept that invitation. All right, why do they select a convenience store? Well, because it's convenient. There were three items on here that are three ways of saying convenient. Convenient location, number one. Get in and out quickly, number two. And then if you drop down to a gas availability. Males and females rated them all a little different, but they're all related to convenience. And the total, coincidentally, the total for males of those three categories is 62%. and the total for females is 62%. So really, what you have is both males and females value convenience. They might look at one little segment of it a little greater or less, but 62% of all consumers are saying, I shop there because it's convenient. And so there's no such thing as an inconvenient convenience store. If you're going to be in this business, you have to be making something convenient. You got to be making gas convenient, or you got to be making cash convenient, or you got to be making food convenient, or something has to be made convenient. Okay. What do they buy when they're in the store? Fairly similar list, although males are looking for energy drinks. They're going to rate a little higher. The juice and fruit veggie drinks are on the female list, not at all on the men's list. So women are still looking maybe for something a little healthier when they go into a convenience store than men are. Men are looking for a caffeine pick-me-up or a sports drink, a replenishment if they're one of the highway road crew. They're looking for that sports drink a little more than females. Both tea and coffee make the list for both of the groups. C-store loyalty. This is one of the huge trends in the C-store business is loyalty. Of all the C-store customers, 89% of the people going in and out of that front door have some kind of loyalty card. Not necessarily the loyalty card of that convenience store, but they're into a loyalty program somewhere across some retail channel. So 89% of everybody who goes in and out of the door has a card. But if as you look up there, you'll see 35% actually have the convenience store card. So there's a big gap between those who are involved in loyalty and those who are involved in loyalty at a C-store. And the next one down is supermarkets at 64%. So in the case of Kroger, which is our company, you got 64% of the customers in their supermarket have a loyalty card, where they're earning their points on grocery purchases. And they can send them to their C-store to burn those on gas. There's a great opportunity to increase the amount of loyalty. A lot of people using loyalty cards in convenience stores. Great opportunity to increase the number who do. One issue with convenience stores is it's a very small shopping basket. So it's difficult to earn enough points to make it feel like you're really getting somewhere quickly, because we want our rewards and we want them now if we can. What a supermarket provides is a way to earn points relatively quickly. What they didn't have was something that consumers just loved to buy cheap, and that's gas. And so the connection for Kroger between the supermarket and the convenience store is they can earn their points at the supermarket, they can burn them at the C-store. Other C-stores don't have as many ways for you to earn them. Let's see. Now you can say that gas has a low elasticity of demand. Price can go up, people just continue to buy approximately the same amount of gas. They have to. But between stations, there's a very high elasticity. So if you see gas across town at 2 cents cheaper, you'll drive across town for 2 cents. It may not, you may even burn that fuel savings getting over there. But you're laughing because you know what I mean, right? So there's a high elasticity if you're a penny higher or lower. So there is a pent-up demand or a real emotional high for consumers to get that extra 3-cent discount or that extra 10-cent discount or that $1 off a gallon of gas. and it will drive the selection of the store. And that's why I think loyalty is the biggest trend in C-stores. If you can leverage that price of gas, you can positively impact your store sales. Just looking at Kroger, they've got 900 convenience stores, 1,200 fuel centers connected in some way, either on the lot or down the street from a Kroger supermarket. They have 4,000 Shell stations that they're partnered with. So they have a total of over 6,000 locations for their consumers to burn their loyalty points. Kroger also has a jewelry chain arm. So if you go buy a diamond ring, you can get points. You know how many dollar off gas fill-ups you can get when you buy a diamond ring through Kroger? It's very rewarding. Or buy a gift card and get 4 points per dollar. We do a program locally where you buy, during the Black Friday on, 10 points per dollar on gift card purchases. I myself have been guilty of cashing in on that one. I go Christmas shopping in a C-store and I get, you know, $1 off gas for the entire month of January. Every time I fill up, and I have a Suburban and an Avalanche. My Suburban takes 40 gallons, and when I get, you know, I fill up, you know, 36 gallons, I get $36 off. That feels pretty good.
Mr. Frey, can we just do a show of hands, how many locations here are currently utilizing a loyalty program? Just a show of hands.
Everybody hear that? Yeah, about half, maybe 40% to a half. So where do these show up? Well, you see just about every supermarket trying them. You have Get-Go's from Giant Eagle in Pittsburgh, the local Giant store, Publix. Get $10 off your gas when you buy a $50 grocery card. You have Wawa running a fleet program, a fleet card. And the picture on the lower left is actually Rutter's store, which is using your smartphone to find out what the deals are, to cash in your points, you know, the whole deal. And the younger people, of course, using both social media and online services to shop. So just kind of wrapping up, a review of some of the things that we've seen and maybe I didn't get a chance to touch on before. Some of the strengths for C-stores, we mentioned earlier, 36% of all retail stores are convenience stores, so there's a lot of them. They typically have prime sites. They may be small, but they're high traffic, high visibility locations. They have the affinity hometown brand. You'll often hear consumers talking about my Turkey Hill or my Wawa. They take ownership in that local shop, and you know they're in there every day or once a week. They get to feeling pretty like that's mine. That's my neighborhood store. And so they have a brand affinity that comes with that frequency and those locations being very close to their homes. There are convenience stores on interstate locations, but a lot of these are on secondary roads or tertiary roads in communities. You know, convenience shopping for frequently purchased on-the-go items, so they're in and out daily, once a week. Some weaknesses, limited selection, of course. You can go into a convenience store, you're not going to find everything you might possibly want. You're not going to find it in perhaps the size you want. And lastly, you're probably not going to find it in the price that you want. Although there are some who are trying to change that, you know, sticker shock mentality. You're still generally priced as a weakness. But that's one of the reasons that loyalty cards are so important, because it helps them offset that price image with, you can save money at my store, as opposed to, it's going to cost me a lot to go there. Trends, Larger stores, bigger is better, 4,000 to 6,000. Of course, with the larger stores, they can offer more variety. So there are, and perhaps services. Sometimes they're paired with a pharmacy. You'll see some convenience store pharmacy combinations with gas. Interesting, you're taking the drugstore, the convenience store, and the gas station and put them all together. I don't know that that's wildly successful, but there are some people doing it with at least some success. Again, for a conglomerate like Kroger that has a pharmacy in most of their supermarkets, a pharmacy then at their convenience store might make sense, because if somebody's carrying that pharmacy card around, they now have more locations. But can they get the scale at that location to support a pharmacist is another question. More stores by independents, up 23% over 10 years. So you're seeing that, as I said earlier, those one-shop owners increasing in number. Convenience and location are still the drivers of the business. Loyalty programs driving the business across formats and stores. Social media marketing, particularly for younger, and also for female, are ways they're reaching out now to the customers. Opportunities exist in quality prepared foods, the on-the-go lifestyle, mobile electronics. You see them everywhere. I mentioned earlier there's lots of good examples here of convenient mobile electronic devices that are fitting into customers' needs. There's one resource there's never more of for consumers, and that's time. It keeps getting less and less. So I think the issue of convenience continues to grow across age, across sex. It just doesn't matter. Convenience is something we're going to buy. We're going to try and buy our time back, because we can get more dollars somewhere, but we can't get time. So we're willing to trade dollars for time. We're willing. We like being a smart shopper. We like using that loyalty card, but if it comes down to it, we'll buy time with our dollars. U.S. energy production, I think, as that grows, perhaps it will take some of the sting out of the gas pump, but I doubt it. But at least we won't feel like we're supporting foreign governments, and if it improves our economic condition and allows consumer a little, more jobs from this, and I think if it's a positive economic climate, it will be better for convenience stores. I did fail to note earlier when I was looking at the growth of C-store sales back in the 07, 08, 09 time frame of the Great Recession. We can argue as to whether we're out of it or still in it, but the C-stores grew right through that. One year they took a pretty good hit on profit. That was largely the fuel margins. The gas gods giveth and they taketh. But generally they also remain profitable. So what that told me is convenience is a high priority, and even in the Great Recession, they were willing to buy more of it. Threats, tobacco on the decline. Alternative fuels, if we get more electric cars, it's not necessarily good for convenience. Credit card fees, I think there's been some slowdown in the increase of those, but still a huge issue for the business. And then competition comes from everywhere. Everybody wants to be in the convenience store business, so you get drugstores, dollar stores, you got the major supermarkets looking at it. You've got Walmart building smaller stores, neighborhood stores that are after that fill-in shop. C-stores getting bigger and Walmart's getting smaller, finding rural locations to place that. So, that really is what I came prepared to offer you. I think we have just a couple minutes. If there are any additional questions, happy to try and answer this. So you can get a sample if you visit the DAS store. You can get a sample of our iced coffees down there and our teas if you've never had them, and try that. Anything else? Thank you for coming.
Thank you.